Hey, how's it going? It's good friend Tom Vann, and welcome to another little session of VSM sales training. I think you're going to dig it. All right, so today we're going to get right to cracking the referral code for whopping huge sales in your career. All right, this is what we know. If you want to get the type of sales that you need to create the income that you want to create and really create the career that you'll love, give you choice, opportunity, the ability to take risk and vacations, all that stuff, you've got to get referrals. All right? Otherwise, you're going to be struggling and puking along. And in just a bit, I'm going to lay out three examples of three guys that actually do pretty well, but the real difference between all three of them, okay? But let's take a look. All right? What happens with referrals? All right? You know you want them. You know you love them. I know I love them. I know I want more, right? So what strategy do you use to get referrals? And how many are you getting? All right? Most people in selling will get anywhere from 0 a month to somewhere about 3 or 4 who actually buy. All right? The 3 or 4 are for people that have done it for some time too. Now, there's some outliers that do great, and I'm going to explain how that really works. But here's the thing, is that most people that have even been selling for quite a while, 4 or 5 years now, I'm not talking about people that sold 15, 20 years ago. I'm talking about today's people. You're in the game now. You're either learning how to redo this career, or relearning how to do this career the right way right now, or you just got into it, right? So, the number one strategy that most people use when it comes to getting referrals is this one right here, and it's unbelievably foolish, right? And I call it the if you know anybody, then send them my way strategy. It's ridiculous, all right? So let's take a look at the mindset of people today in the modern world of selling, not 20 years ago, in the modern world of selling, all right? So come to me with common sense, not with old beliefs, all right? So right now, most people in the world, all right, we've got access to virtually everything, right? We've got, notepads and notebooks and smartphones and whatever it is that we have to access. We have computers at work. We've got access to information everywhere. All right. With that access to information becomes access to choice, right? And that choice is for anything. For if you're looking to buy toasters, you can do that. You're looking to buy books, you can do that. Looking to download movies, you can do that. Looking just to get opinions from people. My God, it's unrelenting the level of information that we can pull, right? And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's awesome, man. It's fun when you're doing it, and I do it all the time when I'm searching for whatever it is, all right? So let's just say you have somebody that purchases a vehicle from you. Now, first off, I want to say you can get referrals from a lot of different spots, but I want to talk about the more obvious one, which is getting referrals from people that have purchased vehicles from you already. Fair enough? Okay, so here's the thing, is that person who just purchased a vehicle from you, all right, thinks you did a good enough job, maybe even a great job, for them to purchase a vehicle. Now, from their standpoint, from the client's standpoint, who do they believe really deserves the majority of the credit for this vehicle purchase? Well, they think it's them, because they're the ones actually cutting the check. They're the ones that did the research well before they contacted you, right? Because that's what people do. They look up 80 to 100 different vehicle display pages prior to ultimately making a decision to buy. So they've looked at 80 to 100 different vehicles before they bought. They've gone to somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 different websites along the way. They spent on average 5.5 months of shopping to do it. Finally, they found a vehicle or a place or a locality or something where you exist. They came to you. You were nice. You were charming maybe. You seemed to care about them, and they purchased from you. So whose credit, where do they give the credit to? Themselves. They put a lot more time and all the money into themselves, into that decision, maybe between the couple, if it's a couple, and they did all that on their own. You just happen to be the one at the end of the game. It's true. All right? It doesn't mean that you're not good at what you do, but they're the ones that deserve most of the credit, don't you think? Well, the client thinks that, because they did the work on it, and they can go away thinking that you did a good job, so on and so forth. So when you say, by the way, if you know anybody who's looking for a vehicle, could you go ahead and send them my way? They'll say, sure. So come the next day and the next day, how much are they thinking about you? They're not at all. They start forgetting you right away because they're focused on their car. If somebody comes down and says, man, what a great looking vehicle you have there, you say, hey, thanks, man. Is it, yeah, so I searched all over the place. I ended up getting it down, They'll tell you where they got their vehicle. They tell their friends where they got it. But yeah, I got a really good deal, and I searched for about 3 or 4 months till I found the right one. It worked out great. Right? And the guy goes, great, man. Can I look into it? Can I see what so all of a sudden it's about the vehicle and the coolness of it. And where are you in this picture? You're non-existent. So that's why when people use this strategy, this foolish strategy called, by the way, if you know anybody, send it my way, it rarely ever works. And here's the thing is that you and I are not in a business where we can use something that rarely works. We have to pull an enormous amount of referrals every single month, and we have to know what to do with those referrals every single month. If you continue and you want to just use this strategy, do not listen to the rest of this video because you'll be wasting your time. Now, if you want massive results, let's listen to the rest and let's take a look. I just put up 5 specific points of a strategy that you need to use, right, in order to get the type of referrals that you need. All right? And the type of referrals I'm talking to are 25 to 45 every month. Now, if you haven't seen that, I've done a video on that. But I'm going to, again, this is just a little different take on something different because I want this to be embedded in you because if you're not getting referrals, then your career is not where it ought to be. Okay, so this is what we know about referrals. The most important thing that you have to do is you have to build relationships. That's build relationships with the client that has done the transaction, all right, and with people that you just know inside your community, the people that you walk by every day, the people that might find you to be an incredibly valuable human being, all right? So, and we'll explain how to do that in just a second. So the first thing is that you've got to build relationships, and you've got to continuously build relationships. You cannot simply go through this day of yours in sales waiting for clients to come in, waiting for clients to email you, waiting for clients to call, and then you end the day, you go home and do nothing other than hang out with your same buddies or your family or something like that. Because that entire day does nothing about building relationships. I'm not saying you have to add to your day. I'm saying that your daily activity list has got to expand. That's when we get to the next thing. The activity list that you do every single day. All right? Right now, if you don't get referrals, I promise, because on your daily activity list, you don't have this concept of building relationships that will ultimately lead you to referrals. So if you want referrals, no, I won't ask it that way. If you want referrals, it would be naive of you to believe that you would have to put no effort into it in order to get those referrals. That's wrong. But the efforts that you have to put in are so much easier than you might be thinking right now. Much easier. All right, so I'll continue on. So first we have to build relationships with people, and we have to have an activity list that every single day we do more to contact more potential referrals. And specifically, we look to expand our number of contacts. Remember that. Expand our number of contacts. It's about the relationships we have. You don't have to use the word referral anymore. This is all about contacts and building those relationships. All right? So, when you're building relationships and when on your activity list you're contacting or recontacting people, the key to the whole thing is you need to do for others. So that means if you have a good relationship with somebody, let's say you sold them a vehicle, right? And along that way, you really got, along that transaction, you really got to know them well. You got to hear their story. You understand how many kids they have, their dog, what they like to do on their days off, their kayakers, whatever it is, something like that. You have to decide what can you do for people with that lifestyle where you could improve what it is that lifestyle does. Now, that lifestyle could have, it's so many dynamics. They might own their own business, or they might work at a shop, or they might take care of their grandma, or they might donate their time down at the shelter, or whatever it is. You've got to find out what's important for these people. This is the development of relationships. So the simple part of this is that you've got to do for others. You cannot go in thinking, I'm going to get referrals, and that's it. That's my agenda, to go in and get referrals. Because once that's your agenda, people feel it, they know it, they won't give you any. All right, but what people do and what they genuinely want to do is reciprocate kindness. All right, so let's kind of put this thing down here. All right, we're going to call it reciprocate. See that? All right, so reciprocate kindness. That means you do it to others, they will do unto you because they want to, and that's what you do too. All right, so we're looking for people to reciprocate to us, but we have to do the right thing on behalf of people. So it can't be like cookie tins to everybody. I had a guy asking me about this about a week ago that he and I do private training together. And he's going, okay, Tom, I'm ready for this. Should I do like cookie tins or should I? No. You've got to find out about the people. What if they don't eat cookies? What if they hate them? What if they're anti-cookie? What if they make their own cookies and you're sending them cookies from somebody else? That will show them that you don't know who they are or what's most important about them. Look, when you do for others, it means you've given people their lives thought. And you've done that thought outside them knowing that you're doing it. So when you go back to people and you're going to do for others, you say, hey, by the way, Bill, I know that you spent some time down at the shelter. Because you said that, and it really impacted me when you do that. So what I thought I'd do is that I put together, I contacted a rescue group, a pet rescue group, and I put them in contact with your shelter down there because I think that the two of you together might be able to do a lot of good. And I went ahead and donated a little money to the group too. So I just wanted to let you know how important that is to me that you do that, right? Now, you can't fake your way through it. Don't. If a pet shelter does something for you, do something for the pet shelter and tell the guy you're doing something because it'll truly mean something to him or her or whatever it is. So do for others. Maybe their kids, play baseball. So what do? You donate a cooler full of Gatorades and Snicker bars or something. I don't know, whatever it is, So, but when you constantly do for others, and sometimes it's just sending them information, and sometimes it's just checking in on them to see how their mom's doing because their mom's been sick for a while and she's battling cancer or something like that. So you make the efforts to do that. That's doing for others. You see, I'm not asking you, by the way, to get referrals here by doing something crazy. You got to actually care about people. So during your daily activity list, don't you think you could make that call or send that text or send over an email or get on the online chat or something or stop by the people you have relationships with, your clients or just your great contacts and show them that you care about what's happening in their lives and you're interested and you still remember their stories? It's not too tough, is it? But when it's not on your activity list, you'll never do it. You'll just keep expecting somehow that referrals show up, but they won't. Because you got to keep doing for others. Now, once you do for others, even within a transaction you're doing for others, right? And sometimes you do other things for others. You need to prepare your contacts, these people that you develop. You have to prepare them for asking them to give you more of their contacts. All right, do you see what I said? So let's just say you did something for the pet shelter for Bill, who does all this stuff. You ought to prepare him some time. And so, because once you guys start talking about the shelter, you say, Bill, I just want to let you know this. At some point in time, I might ask you for some context. I hope that's going to be okay. And that's just so that, I can help other people do what maybe I helped you with. And, I can't, and not necessarily the shelter, by the way, but whether it's in cars or in life or whether it's exposing people or introducing them to my database, their new business or something like that, I want to do on behalf of other people because I love doing it. So I hope it'll be okay sometime if I ask you for that. Would that be all right? See, all we're doing is we're going to prepare our contacts that later on we're going to ask them for some. It's this preparation that allows you to get massive referrals. When you don't prepare and you just ask, you outright ask, you won't get many. All right? I promise you that'll happen because you're imposing on people's lives when you do it. When you prepare people, right, all you're preparing them for is that, by the way, Bill, sometime in the future, I might ask you for this. I might ask you for contacts, and let me just tell you why I won't ask you now, and let me tell you why I'm going to ask you down the road, because I love doing for people, and I love discovering who they are and what they do, and I just want to do good on behalf of others. So that's it. That's what I do for a living, and that's just what I like. So I hope it's okay if for some time down the road I ask you for some contacts. Would that be all right? But yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, you're great, right? So that way there's no pressure on Bill, and he's going to say yes anyway. And now that you've said it, you're going to do something down the road, and then you're ultimately going to, once you ask him for these contacts, then it really gets dynamite, because you're going to ask him in a way that I can teach you to be incredible. I just can't teach you on this particular video. Okay, so prepare your contacts for contacts, and then you follow through. And you continue to follow through. And how do you follow through? You put all of your people into a database. And in that database, you're going to contact and recontact people every 4 weeks up to 12 weeks, right? And it's going to depend on how you look at your clients and the value those clients have for you. But you've got to put them in this database so you continue to follow through. And I can tell you this, one of the best ways to follow through with people is through texting. It's awesome. It's powerful. They want to hear from you from text. They got to be incredibly short, but they will respond. And then I've got other videos where I call something called stacking, conversational stacking. Once you get, like 4 weeks later, after they purchased a vehicle, let's say, and you send them a text to see how things, what are they up to, and all of a sudden you'll get stories. And you'll get involved in the conversational stacking method, and what happens? They'll trust you again, they'll know you, and then at that point, you can see about doing something for them on their behalf. So that won't necessarily cost you money or time either, but do something on their behalf with this follow-through, and then you continue this cycle, because that's what happens. This cycle goes here, and then it goes right back around again, right? So we just keep going in the circle of relationships, activity lists, doing for others, prepare them for future contacts, then you follow through to do what? Continue to build those relationships. It goes again and again and again. So I want to show you 3 guys that I work with right now in private advanced training stuff, and let me tell you how they're doing. All right? So, I've got a fellow named Derek. I got tons of people, but I just wanted to point out these, right? I got a fellow named Gurge. I'll just put him Gur, right? And I got a fellow named Jeff. Okay? Now, oops, Derek. This is how it's going. Derek every year makes about 110 grand already. Okay? Makes 110 grand selling, all right? Gurge, he makes about $95,000 a year selling. Okay? I mean, these are good figures, right? Jeff makes about $210,000 a year selling. Okay? I don't know if you can catch that on the, if it's not, it's $210,000 on here if you can't see it. All right, so, anyway, wouldn't you like to make all these? All right, so, out of all these figures right here, which would you like to make more? 110,000, 95,000, or 210,000? Well, that's an easy one. You'd like to make $210,000. Let me tell you the issue here. Derek, he contacted me when he was already making $110,000 a year. He said, Tom, I want to make $200,000 a year. I said, great. All you got to do is you got to crack the referral code to get to the WHOPPING sales number, and I'll show you how. So what happens? I go through all the methods, and what ends up happening? No follow through. He doesn't follow. He's not following through on it. So guess what? Last year he made the same amount that he made the year before. Now you might find that to be an incredible figure and you love it, but Derek doesn't, right? And he's comfortable. Life's going well for him, but he wants to make $200,000 a year. I said you can't make $200,000 a year till you do this very simple thing. So right now he's finally getting into it. Why? Because over this past month, at the time of this shooting, he has not had a good month. So now he's a bit fearful that he's going to be able to pace off on what he's paced off on. All right, because he's done some old stagnant things. He calls people on their birthday and stuff like that. That doesn't do it. It doesn't do it. All right, that's not it. It's not birthday and thank you and little cards you send in the mail. That's not it. It's not it. You leaving messages. It's not it. All right, so right now he's stagnant at this whole thing. He was already making this. He's a great sales guy, right? Great transaction guy. Problem is he wants to grow. But there's one way to grow, and he's just not following through. He will though, right? I got this guy now. He just contacted me, Gur. All right, now he's been. And by the way, this guy's been selling for a long time, 13, 14 years or something like that. I can't remember. 13 years we'll call it. All right, in a couple different industries. All right, so we got Gur. He's making $95,000, right? Something like that. It's close to that. All right, so what's happened? He's been selling for about 4 years, right? And he gets referrals already, but he's only getting enough referrals to get him to this amount because he can't get enough leads from the dealership anymore to build it, right? So those leads get pulled back as he gets busier. So he keeps selling about the same amount every single month, and it's not really getting him to where he wants to get to. Right? So he contacts me about doing it. So he contacts me, and then I set him up for this is how you've got to do it. So right now we're at the very beginning of what he has to do. Now, he's going to have to do it. It's up to him, but I showed him how to do this very easy preparation method, preparing the contacts, because he's already getting a bunch, so I just wanted to start with something simple. He's preparing his contacts right now, so we'll see how it's going. But right now, this guy's been selling for 4 years, and he's only around this $100,000 mark. That is unacceptable to me, man. If you've been selling for this long, you absolutely should be $150,000, $160,000, $200,000 a year. Now we take Jeff down here. Now Jeff contacts me and he starts using my stuff when he's only selling, like 12 or 14 cars a month or something like that. So what happens? We start getting involved in what takes place when it comes to referral gathering. So he starts doing it every single day. And he starts building this off. So on his activity list, he's calling, and or contacting 20, 25, 30, 40 people a day. That's what he's doing, right? Even if it's 20 a day, it's massive because it's on his activity list. How does he contact them? Some by phone, some by text, all that stuff. It keeps building. So now, he's selling like 35 to 42 a month, and he's making between $210,000 and like $230,000 a year, and he's just getting started. Why? Because this year we're going to go ahead and move to $350,000, $400,000 a year if he follows through on even more advanced training when it comes to referrals. So you got to decide, who do you want to be here, right? You want to be this guy down below? I'm guessing so. Then you've got to get involved in this. If wherever you are, now Derek just happens to be at 110. If you're at 60,000 right now or 30,000 right now and you're not doing what you need to do to get referrals, guess what? You're not going to grow. He just happens to be at a place where he can make 110,000, but he's not growing. Gets very few referrals, and he sells a bunch of units every single month. You see what I mean? So this is your chance. All right? Don't do what's foolish. Please do not do what's foolish, otherwise you will be the fool. Do what's smart. Do the smart strategy. It's not even difficult. And if you've got more questions about this, either get involved in my advanced training, or if you got a couple of simple questions about it, just go ahead and send them to my email. I would love to hear from you. So if ever you want to check into the free training, if you're not involved in that, just go to tomvann.com. You can sign up for my free training series or any one of the advanced series that you'd like to get involved in as well. Anyway, this is Tom. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Adios.